Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Emily.
Hi, it's Emily and Grace coming to you live from beadshop.com, and we're here in sunny Redwood City having fantastic winter weather as usual, although we could use the rain. We have Brandwin behind the counter. Oh, sorry, behind the camera. And we have Janice and we have Drea back on the East Coast moderating for us. Right. So, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Yeah, it's good to see you.
It is nice being back on in front of the camera.
On the right side of the camera?
No, it's really nice. So
cool.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I love showing you stuff. I like showing. Obviously, I like showing everyone things.
Right. So. Well, I'm your kind of like in person. How do you do this?
You're my victim today.
A fun victim.
Brandon, we're doing okay out there? We got some people joining us?
People joining us. Janice
Terrific.
And Christine and Danielle and Bonnie and Rasha and Marcia.
Cool. Welcome, everybody. The gang's all here. That's what I like.
Well, except Kate.
Oh, except for Kate.
Say we wish you a speedy recovery.
We do wish Kate a speedy recovery, and it's okay that she not come in. We don't need a sick coworker here. Totally. You know, it's all right. She can stay home.
Yeah.
And just get well.
Yeah.
And then we'll see you soon, and you'll be back 110%, because Kate goes 120% most of the time. Definitely. So, you know, it's all good, right? So today we're going to do beaded beads, which has been a very highly anticipated and sought after project. We're going to take a wooden bead, color the wooden bead, cover it with more beads, and make these beautiful pieces. You know, I wear them as a necklace, a bunch of them all together, but you can also wear them individually.
Sure.
And I have some great pictures to show you of ones that are made into Christmas ornaments for your tree.
I remember taking the picture for these back when we were having the retreat, and I was really excited that I actually got to be doing this.
Because you've been wanting to do that?
I was like, these are amazing. They're really so effective. You have like little bowls over here.
Yeah.
And they're super awesome.
We've got it. I have a few. You know, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing, right? Because pretty much that's the way of the world with seed beads. Because you get really obsessed and you want to try everything and you want to try every color combination, and or at least I do. So that's where it lands me.
Patterns too.
Yeah,
you were telling me even before we were on air different things that you've done. And
it's all good fun. So we have a little bit of business to take care of, and I want to do that before we get into the learning part. I just want to remind everybody how you can catch us if you don't happen to catch us live. You can follow the link on the front of the beadshop.com page for the Facebook link to go to the Facebook videos and watch there. You can watch after also at YouTube in our beadshop.com channel. Right. So all great ways to catch us. Also coming up on Monday will be episode notes. Janice and now Drea is chiming in with her take on episode notes, and they both are doing amazing kind of thorough jobs. I see a book in our future, guys, because I think we've got the information and we've already done it. So it's a ton of great information that comes your way. If you're watching us after the broadcast and you want to miss on the chitty chat part at the beginning, scroll forward on any of those scroller bars about 15 minutes in, and that'll get you kind of past the bookkeeping and the little bit of sort of daily keeping that we do here each time. So I have a couple of things to show you, Brandon, on the computer, and I just want to turn my computer around. I'm going to get these pictures brought up first. I think I have them in a good place. I do. These are some pictures sent to me from Amy, one of our watchers, and she sent me some great pictures of some work that she had completed, and I was just really tickled to see them. And I want to remember, what's the name of our mannequin that we have here? Ming. I have another friend who has a dolly. So I'm dying to know, Amy, what's the name of your mannequin?
I love the colors.
I know.
And I like the wave.
Yeah, I do too.
It looks really nice.
Yeah. I think a little peyote stitch or a little netting on this one.
Can we zoom in?
Possibly. Upside down. It's really hard. But and you were asking me if I have left hand. I'm like, no, not at all.
So really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a little bit of a glare. Just
okay.
If you could turn
tilt it to you a little.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. And then Amy also included some crochet, because really, you know, none of us are mono crafters. We're all omni crafters. we like it all. And again, we want to know the name of this young lady that hangs out at your house. And I loved this necklace. This is
That's
definitely my
beautiful.
color scheme. You know, the
Very
oceans
beautiful.
and all those pieces.
Looks like sea glass inspired almost.
Yeah, really pretty. So it was really fun. And then some spiral rope and some brick stitch around a bead, I think, down here. Yeah. Really great color, Amy. I think your color skills are right on track. Really, really pretty. So I wanted to pass those on to you. And then my good friend from our bead retreat, Lisa, just posted some great things on the beadshop.com community board. And now I'm going to have to find that. Give me one heartbeat here. Wait. I got to find the fastest way to get there.
That community board is so awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I enjoy seeing what everyone brings to the table and shows off, and it's just so incredible.
You know, this morning I was looking through the requests that were coming in.
Yeah.
And there was 3 or 4 from Nigeria, somebody from South Africa, 2 from Australia, 1 from Egypt, from Cairo, which I thought was like, oh my
incredible.
God. You know, we're getting all around the world.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And everybody's very helpful for one
Yeah.
another. So Lisa Yoshimoto posted this great picture.
Oh, that's so adorable.
Of her beaded beads that she had made. She took the retreat. She was with us at the retreat,
Right.
and then went home. And apparently, this struck a note. And Lisa, I understand, but she made these beautiful beaded beads. Lisa lives in Hawaii, so I don't know what kind of Christmas trees you guys get there. Probably some kind. But I love this little ornament tree, and she's got all her ornaments hanging on it.
Little dangles off
Yeah,
of them.
she made
Looks
beautiful
really nice.
big hooks.
Wow.
I want to I keep wanting to enlarge. I don't know if I can. If I do that, can I enlarge? Oh
There you go.
yeah! Look at that. Upside
Wonderful.
down and backwards. Right. So she's
Yes.
making these great. Yeah, she's making these great, beautiful hooks that are very similar to just an oversized ear wire, and hanging them. And she's got little dangles going on down below. It's really nice to make things for gifts like this, you know,
Definitely.
and to have something that you can hand to someone that's a personally made piece is really nice.
Right.
You got anything for me, Brandon?
Just Kate came in and said hello.
Oh,
and,
yay!
Ivan came in and said hello.
Hi, Ivan. And I have one more thing that I wanted to share with you that was kind of, Grace and I were talking this morning about the project, as we do. And we were discussing that this stitch was netting and kind of what that entailed. So netting, if you think of a net like a fisherman's net, or has places where the material joins itself, kind of on corners, sort of diamond shape mostly.
Okay.
And with beadwork, we're going to do some netting too that we're going to use horizontally, but you could also do vertical netting. So you can kind of go either way. And there are these really beautiful collars that you can Google if you like. And I Googled. These ones that I was thinking of are from Greenland, and it's a native technique that's used. And I just wanted to bring this one picture up because I think it shows it really well.
Stunning.
In these costumes. So these pieces here are all beads.
Wow. Wow.
So they are a netted cape that fits down over the shoulders, and it's quite a lot of work, an heirloom heritage kind of work, but really, really beautiful. And it reminds me a little bit of sort of Icelandic sweaters in that neck of the world. But I thought that it would be really inspirational to kind of see these that had some more netting going on.
They're simply stunning, and the colors and the patterns. And you said this was a vertical net?
Right. Yeah. So this net goes the other direction to ours. So
Amazing.
if you go ahead and go into Google Greenland beaded collar, go to images, and then you'll see that there's lots and lots of images, and some of them are older too. So this goes back a ways, right? There's one that's actually a black and white photograph, but obviously there's
It looks
the
like
inspiration.
a square stitch too, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, or a right angle weave even.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Right angle weave.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
But when you see it forming those sort of diamondy shapes,
Yeah.
and netting is very elastic. Like right angle weave is very flexible.
I see.
Netting has kind of got that elasticity to it too.
You think it's fairly heavy? Faye was one
You know,
commenting that they
I
will
bet
probably.
it's got some weight, but because it's netting, it's half empty space. So you have a lot of volume without the weight. Just like you'd think of a fishing net. that they'd throw out in the water, right?
Right.
It has those ropes that are together, and that's the space that's weighty, but the part in the middle lets the water go through, but not the fish.
Well, you also made a handbag, didn't you, out of the red angle weave?
I've done netted handbags. I made a little amulet bag out of red angle weave.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one of those things that's kind of on my list to do, is to come back to some old school techniques and maybe make a little peyote amulet bag. It's kind of on my list. I noticed the other day that there was some talk on the Facebook, looking for tubular peyote stitch, and I've got a really great project, and it's a useful thing as well, and we'll use some of the techniques today that we could actually use then. That's a hint. Yeah, it's definitely those things are definitely on my list. And if you have other requests, please throw them out there. You can either email me, Emily at beadshop.com, or you can actually put it on that Facebook list, because I get notifications all the time about stuff going on there. So I'll always keep an eye out, and I have a little notepad with a list going. Okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So let's get back to work here. And we're going to start with dyeing and coloring some beads. So one of the things when I get going on a new project is I'm kind of always looking for the way to make it my own and make it more unique for myself. And I found these great wooden beads. These are actually made in the USA, back east. They're a lovely wood. They're very light also, and so when you put beading around them, they gain a little bit of weight, but not too much. But they're very plain. Now, you can absolutely do this netting stitch over a plain bead. Here's a black and white one over a plain bead. You can see it inside. Here's a black and white one done over a red bead. And you can actually have a little bit more color contrast.
Probably be good if I zoomed in on that.
Sure, let me hold it in still.
And turn it kind of
so you can see the end.
Yeah.
There's
perfect.
a blank. There we go.
Okay.
One dyed, one undyed. So dyeing the beads gives you a little bit of color that shows through in the netting. And I generally try and dye it something that kind of goes with it, or that is going to be contrasty and really show. Right? So I like... I tried several different ways to dye beads. I tried Rit dye, which you can do, which is very messy. And it's great if you want to dye a lot of beads. The problem with Rit dye is that it's water-based, and it tends to lift up the grain on the wood a little bit. So the beads are not so smooth any longer. They get a little tacky.
And they start off really smooth.
Don't they?
Yeah.
They're really satisfying,
They
actually.
are.
Yeah. I'm glad we all feel it. And even after you dye them with alcohol inks, they don't feel rough.
They don't.
They feel nice and smooth.
I know.
And dries really quickly,
and the
too.
color is really nice and saturated.
Yeah,
it's a nice color.
There's lots and lots of colors to play around with.
Right.
So these are my own alcohol inks, and obviously they've been used a little bit because they leak and they get a little messy. This is denim. I know now because denim is the one that always leaks. And I tend to be a little messy when I do this. I invariably get it on my fingers, which Janice will be tut-tutting, I know, over. But if you get it on your finger and you want to get it off real quickly, try just a little alcohol wipe, the kind you might get at the doctor when they give you a little shot or something. That tends to take the alcohol ink off. But I do my best to only use something to hold them with that I don't have to worry about it getting inky. So chopsticks are the perfect solution. They come in pairs. So you have one to use while you're dyeing, and then you just slide it right off.
So smart.
Yeah, right? Chopsticks.
Super smart, yeah.
And you get them free anytime you order Chinese food.
Exactly.
Can I have an extra pair of chopsticks? Absolutely. So I take a plastic disposable plate. I put a paper towel in it. This kind of gives me a little work area to control things from rolling around too much. It's nothing like a rolling around wet dyed bead to get your attention. And Brenda, do you want to pull in a little bit on these? And I'm going to just dye one of these real quick.
And Janice wanted to know if you could use food coloring or watercolors.
So
as she was tut-tutting you.
I know. I know she was going to tut-tut me. You can use pens to color them. You can use spray paint. You can use almost anything to color the beads. The problem with water-based things is that wood doesn't really like water very much, and it lifts up the grain on the wood and makes them a little rough. If you're going to use the bead by itself, dyed, that would not be so great. netted over them, you wouldn't see so much of it or feel so much of that roughness. But I tend to really like my beads to be still nice and smooth. So alcohol inks you can buy at Joann's or Michael's or any kind of craft store that you might go to. They come several colors in a set. So you'll get 3. I'm just going to reach out a screen here and grab these guys. You get 3 colors that kind of go together. And I just happen to grab botanical green, honeycomb, and red pepper. Okay, they come in all different colors. So here's some denim blue, which I'm gonna throw myself on the sword here. And doing this over a paper towel just means you're not going to get it elsewhere on your living room or area, on furniture or whatever. I've got him on the chopstick. I just turn my dropper upside down and let the ink come out. You can squeeze gently, but you really don't need to saturate this too fully. I'd like to make sure I'm in the hole so that it's all the same color. And they have a tiny bit of odor to them, but if I was going to spray paint a bead, whew, that'd be a big mess.
And it dries almost instantly, doesn't it?
It does. I usually give it about 10 or 15 minutes to really dry.
Okay.
And having it on the chopstick means I can kind of get all around and I don't have to worry about anything, right? So you can hold it like this and let it dry in your hands and visibly. Or I think an easier way is just to slide him off like that and let him sit on the paper towel and dry.
Awesome.
Right? So a little bit will come off on the paper towel, but not that much. Right? So just to save your fingers, I don't mind getting inky. I'll do a red one too.
Sounds good.
And we'll do this guy. Now, occasionally you'll find chopsticks that have a really fat end. You can actually either take your pocket knife and whittle it down or run it through a pencil sharpener even to kind of get it smaller. Right? And I also don't wedge this on as tight as I can get it. I just kind of place it on there.
I see.
If you wedge it on, you'll have to get ink on your fingers.
You're not going to have any residue from that blue one on this red one, are you?
Only in the hole.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really care about that. Just turning gently and getting it colored. Any questions, Brandon, going on over there?
We had somebody who suggested waxing it after
after
watercoloring it to get it so smooth.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of work. I don't know if I would do that. I don't know if I'd spend the time and energy on it. This is pretty fast and easy. Okay, so the one that I did before, still a little damp. Tut tut. Right? So
we did get a request to restate the ink from somebody who just joined.
These are alcohol inks. They are made by Ranger Ink Company, and they come under the brand or the line name of Tim Holtz, who's a scrapbook guru. He does lots of different materials and stuff for scrapbooking. Awesome. They can be used in a number of different ways. I really like them for this effect. It's sort of a fast and easy thing. I like to benefit both by have it be kind of quick and useful. So you could spray paint, you could color them on with ink pens, you could do some watercolor. And Janice, you know, what I might do if I was going to do watercolors is I might paint them white first, just so I have kind of a neutral background. Watercolors are very gentle and they're more transparent. So, I mean, they can be done in layers too.
Right.
Yeah. So at home, sometimes I'll have a jar and I'll stick these up and I'll color several and kind of let them hang out there. But if you need to do this, easy enough with a paper towel and a paper plastic plate, something just to keep them from, wiggling away from you. Do you want to do yours too?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm going to have too much fun if I start on this.
Don't you want
instant gratification?
You want that? Why don't you do one? You can do one. You got time. It's all right.
Well, you keep talking. And
I'm not going to. I won't be quiet. I promised you.
Can I do a half and half?
You can. It may not show too much, but it'll maybe be darker on one side and lighter on the other. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I would do it, and I would do it half and half hemispherically this way, rather than north and south.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry.
It's okay. You got it. And like I said, if you get it on your hand, I've got an alcohol wipe over here. So
So you want me to do it half this way and then half that way?
Mm-hmm, that's what I would do.
Oh.
Yeah, it comes out quick, huh?
It just absorbs it so nicely.
Mm-hmm. Pretty satisfying.
It is.
And you're not really squeezing. You can squeeze a little bit if you
Yeah.
want more to come out, but you don't really need to squeeze very much.
Not
It's
really.
kind of thin.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It dripped over, but I kind of like it.
All right. You want to do red the rest of the way?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, this is fun for getting around the table with, like, kids and...
One of the people at Joanne at the retreat actually made a necklace by just coloring beads. And you know, when we teach a class, sometimes you don't know what someone's going to grab a hold of,
Right.
and be their thing that they just love and they get so excited about and really want to like move on with it.
But I'm saying, like, for children, because I'm a
Yeah.
kid at heart.
Oh, absolutely. It's super fast.
Yeah.
So think
It's
of all
not
the wooden
terribly
things.
messy either.
Think of all the wooden things that you could play around with these inks. Right?
Getting a lot of compliments on your bracelet as well.
Oh, I didn't even
zoomed
notice
out
that.
to show it because somebody said, I want a close-up, so I'm just like, oh,
Wow.
throw it in.
Is that Larimar?
It is.
Beautiful.
It was a gift. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
I love it too. I
Cool.
like it.
Yeah.
It looks great. All right. So I just pop it off.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
So if you're going to do a project, make a few of these and have them all in one theme.
Mm-hmm.
I wore this necklace last week on Facebook, and these are all done in the same colors, the same sizes that we're going to work with today, but same colors to one another. And I actually colored all the beads that I thought I might want to use in this color scheme. I have found over the years that it's better for me to be prepared to this point. If I don't, I'll forget what color's under there, and then there's going to be some different ones, and it's going to be a pain in the neck. So I have my little collection of orange dyed beads that are going to go underneath these same colors. Right? You know, we carry 3 different sizes of beads here at Bead Shop. But you might actually find some smaller wooden beads and play around with those
Yeah.
too. And I would scale down to a 15 seed bead, which is, I know, Janice, the next frontier is 15s. We'll do it. So for this particular piece, we are going to use some round Japanese seed beads, and I have them laid out here too in the color schemes. And I made a few of each. And I don't know, Brandon, do you want to come down on this just a little bit so I can point them out, and we can kind of. I'll use my pencil for pointer.
Sorry.
That's okay.
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 All right.
All right. So I made some beads in 2 colorways. I'm calling this Holiday Evening, and this one is Victorian Christmas. So a matte red, matte metallic brick red, a dark bronze. This 457 is one of my most favorite colors. I use it with a lot of things. And I've really found over the years that if you're kind of stuck for color, throw a metallic in there. It really does it's one of those true things that works pretty well every time.
It's a neutral. It works
Yeah,
as a neutral.
exactly.
And it looks
Yeah, and the bronze is kind of, it's nice.
brown.
It's not silver, it's not gold. It's something a little bit in between. It's a shadow color, right? Right? So we know why Kate likes them. This is the 1457, which is emerald lined sapphire. So a blue glass with a little bit of a green lining to it. And I'm always intrigued by putting cool colors with warm metallics. I think that's kind of a fun combination. Turquoise and gold looks
Yes.
really interesting
Yes,
together.
I agree.
It just throws off the usual mix, right?
Totally.
We're going to use some gray KO size 12 seed beads, and then the beads that we're using today come in 3 sizes. There's a 25 millimeter, a 20 millimeter, and an oval. Okay, and I've made a couple of each here. Now I did choose to alternate a little bit how I picked up the colors, and for instance, in this Victorian Christmas here, Victorian Christmas pattern, in one of them I used the dark bronze as my main color and the red as my accent color. And in the other, I use the red as the main color and the bronze as the accent color. So you can really see these are the same beads, just two different color swaps. I did also, around the hole of the bead, add a little accent by making my last picot bead be that accent color. So I have a little bit of a pop there that's a little bit unusual and kind of fun. And that is a place on that picot where you can play around a little bit with your color and patterning. Okay.
I love these. They look so festive just in this little bowl right here.
And there's the holiday evening with the blue as the main color and the gold as the accent, and then here it is with gold and blue. And they're both really pretty. I love them both. I love this color, these colorways, and I think they're quite lovely. As far as the dyeing underneath, I used denim blue for the holiday evening, and in the red, golly, I think it's Poppy Field is the name. Poppy Field. Okay? We'll include those in the episode notes. So we're going to get started on doing a little netting, and I'm going to actually have Brandon bring the camera around behind me so that you're going to go over my shoulder for viewing. And we're going to try a couple new things today. One of them is to actually do some demonstrating with a slightly larger bead than I use for this particular pattern. I'm going to demonstrate using a size 8. And you could use a size 8 or size 6 even for this if you wanted to, but the bead that you're going to cover would be much bigger. So you're making a bigger net. Okay? Brandon, you ready to try it? All right.
So really quick, would those work for ornaments then?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you, I will.
Yeah. How about we go this way? We're gonna kind of airplane over here.
Is that too close?
Nope, I think it's gonna be just perfect. And hopefully that didn't make everybody too seasick.
Let's see how we're doing.
How are we doing?
Well, I won't know until we see where your hands are.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll be right there. I'm coming. So I'm gonna work first on the diagram here. I'm trying to get this up on my screen too here.
Remember, there's a delay.
Yeah. I'm just gonna roll over here just a little bit.
No, I moved it. So, so when you did that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I messed it up.
Yeah.
I
Because
won't
that's what I
move
was
it.
saying. There's the delay, so
Got
you can't.
Can't do it too.
Unless we're working together. We have to work together.
Work together. Damn it! I don't want to work together. No. So with the diagram that I'm going to show you today, we're going to start with the 20 millimeter bead. So we're going to use the pattern for the 20 millimeter bead. Now I have these diagrams and some other general directions for you coming, and I'd love to have you just watch me go through a little bit first. We're going to do the first row of the netting and then continue with the netting back and forth, and then down here I have a diagram where you'll be able to see the join that we make to make this netting seamless, and then I have a little bonus content for you over there. So all the details for this will be in the episode notes and in my notes that I hand over to Janice and Drea. So I'm going to work with a larger thread than I normally would work with. I have some Ceylon fine, and I have some size 8 beads right here prepared to work with. Just going to slide over just a little bit. Okay. So
How much thread do you cut off?
Oh, good question, Grace. You know, this is one of those great things you get to do in seed beading where you only have to have one thread for a whole bead. You won't have to change threads.
That's
Handy.
awesome.
Isn't that nice?
That's really great.
Yeah.
Is this too much?
I would Grace is stretching her hands out really far. I would think about 1.5 yards.
Okay.
And, you know, my favorite way of doing a yard is I take the string in the end of the thread in my fingertips and I pull it out till I reach my nose. That's about 1 yard.
Okay.
And then about 1/2 again.
Oh, so you just take it from there and pull it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty close. And we're going to use typically the KO thread, a size 12 needle, and I will pass you some beeswax.
And the scissors, please.
And some scissors.
Thank you.
Sure, some thread snips. Sure. So I'm going to use, like I said, the size 8 thread, or the size 8 bead, and I'm attempting here to give ourselves a little bit more visible for you, and make it a little more visible for you, and not have to zoom too tightly up. We're trying to sort of keep our image quality as best we can. I have 2 colors that I normally work with for seed bead school, black and white, and I'm going to use a blue thread, so everything is pretty clear and easy to see.
So just want you to keep in mind the area that's visible right now is
it's right here to about here. And
not even
here.
that low.
Okay, so here.
Yeah.
Okay, good enough. So, Brando and I are still working the bugs out on this over-the-shoulder deal, and I really like it because I think it's more close to what you guys would normally see when you're sitting by yourself. Okay? So, most of the time in seed bead stitches that I teach, I recommend that you work with a stopper bead. And most of the time, almost always, the stopper bead's not part of the pattern or the design. Today, however, I'm going to throw all of that out the window, right? So the stopper bead is absolutely part of the design. So you want to use the same colors. And I'm going to show you on my diagram, the stopper bead is the same color, but it has an X on it, okay? And it stays in that same lower left-hand position. And here it is on this diagram. You move over a little bit.
Okay, there you are.
Okay, and on the lower diagram, it'll be visible in a minute. Okay, we'll get there. So I'm going to take a bead. I'm going to choose a white bead for this one. So Grace, how about you pick your accent color? Okay. So I put 2 little pieces of blue painter's tape on my bead mat. One says MC, one says AC. If you're using colors that you could easily mix up, this is just a way to save yourself a little bit of heartache and a little bit of confusion. Right? So I'm going to pick up that one white bead on my needle, pull my needle all the way through, thread all the way through.
Does it matter that it's only on one thread?
It should only be on one thread. Yeah. And here I have that one bead, and I'm going to put my needle back through it again to make the stopper bead out of it. So I pull it through, oops, and the thread is now wrapped around the outside of the bead. And the bead can move on this thread back and forth as needed, but I've left myself about a 6 or 8 inch long tail of thread. Alright. So, including this bead, I need to pick up 12 beads, and they need to be in alternating colors. So for me, it's going to be white, black, white, black, white, black for 12 beads. Okay?
So the next bead you pick up, is that your accent color again?
The next color is my main color.
Okay.
Then accent color, main color, accent color, main color, accent color, boring, boring, boring.
Fun, fun, fun.
Fun, fun, fun. And this is also one where it's really to your advantage to double check your count before you move on. Okay? My volcano's not big enough for volcano.
12 not including your stopper bead, right?
12 including your stopper bead. Okay? Because this time the stopper bead's part of it. So let's see, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I actually ended up with 13. So I need to take off one bead. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. No, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 2 beads I'm going to take off. Okay? Now the next few beads I'm going to put on, it's going to be the beads for my picot. Okay? And picot is the end of the edge of the beading, and this is a place where you can vary the design, and it's a place where you can vary the length of this entire beading. Okay? So I need to pick up 5 beads for this one. All right, so we're still working on a 20 millimeter bead. Okay. This is just so that you can see what happens. I'm going to pick up.
So normally you would do this with an 11, or?
Okay. Normally I would do it with an 11.
But you're doing it with a larger side so that people can see.
Yeah. Any comments on that? People
Somebody
like
just
it?
asked if it
Double
was
checking?
11s.
Okay.
And that's why I wanted to specify that.
Sure. I'm going to bring in a bead with 11s. This is the bead we're doing. Covered. That's what Gracie's doing right now. This is what it looks like uncovered, right? And I'm using size 8 beads just for demonstration purposes. This is a trial run. We'll see how it goes, okay? So I need 5 more beads. And these 5 beads are going to be my picot. And this will be a place I could, like I said, I could play around with some more beads. So if we were looking at it on this bead, I'm assuming you can see that okay,
yes.
Gracie?
Yeah.
Or Brandon, sorry. The 5 beads we're really looking at are right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one is 5, the one on the end. Okay? So I'm going to pick up 5 beads. I'm going to do them in white so they're visible.
So that was...
There's 4 and 1. So this is 4 of the bronze and 1 red. You're going for a redder bead, huh?
Yeah, I like the red bead a lot. Okay.
So I had my 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 beads all together. So in the directions, each bead size is going to start with a different grouping of beads, but this process is pretty much the same. And depending on how long or short this picot is going to be, I'm going to start with 5 on this one and 5 on the next one. When we get to the oval one, it's a little less. Okay? And that's it all in the directions. Now to complete this picot, I'm going to skip that last bead and I'm going to pass through 3 beads going down the row.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's
so
right.
Is that your stopper bead right there?
My stopper bead's in the lower left-hand corner.
So I should be working next to it, sorry. Okay.
That's all right.
You're skipping over.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I skipped the last one. If you go through the last one, your beads will fall off. So skip the last one. And I'm going to go through 3. Okay? I'm going to pull that up and so that my accent bead on the end of the picot is hanging out there like a little short fringe, just about. Right? Are we there? What, Gracie?
There we go. I'm here.
Gracie's catching up. So, in this particular stitch, I tend to be a flipper. So, flipping, we've talked about in the realm of peyote stitch before. When I started this piece off, my stopper bead was in the lower left-hand corner. I added all my beads, turned around and went through, and now I'm going to flip it over, end for end, so that I can work back up. And this is just easier because my needle's going up. I don't have to reach around and do one of these kind of numbers, right?
This way. That's
better?
Yeah.
Okay. How are we looking sharpness, and is this working for everybody?
I mean...
Yeah? No complaints?
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. So now I'm going to pick up 3 beads. And this is the thing with netting. It's always going to be an odd number of beads you pick up at once.
Okay.
Could be 3, could be 5, could be 7, could be 3, then 5, then 7, which would give you, in those collars, it would give you that expanding size.
Okay.
Right? Hint, 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 hint.
Oh, I understand.
Good. So my accent beads, my white beads, are going to be my beads that I'm going to skip over. Okay? And I want to get to, sorry.
So apparently there's a little confusion over the AC and the MC, even though I think it was fairly clear. So
Sure.
A number of people want to know again what that stands for.
Okay. Main color, black. Accent color, white. You have to have one of each. And this is just to help me identify which is which. Okay? We back on track?
Yeah.
Excellent.
There was a number of people, including Janice, who were asking, so I thought, we'll
that's a good time to stop me. That's perfect.
MC, he's like the DJ, and the AC is
the crowd. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up 3 beads. I want to do main color, accent color, main color. So main, accent, main. Okay. I'm going to skip. Did I do that right or wrong? 1, 2, 3. I did it exactly wrong. Good going, Emily. I'm just going to switch.
So
I'm going to switch.
Accent, main, accent.
No, I did it wrong on my my own pattern. Sorry, guys.
Wait,
Watch this. You're doing it fine. How fast we change. How fast does that change? Look at that. Bam. Okay. I picked up a white, a black, and a white. And I'm going to skip over 4 beads, and I can count them. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to pick up that 4th one. Okay. I'm going to pull this up, and you'll see that my beads are going to sit right beside their same colors. See how the white and the white sit together, the black and the black sit together, and the white and the white sit together here. So, Grace, you're fine.
I am?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yay!
So I'm going to do that 3 bead group again.
Can I show them what it looks like on
Yeah. There you go.
Bring it over just,
This way?
yeah,
Which way?
perfect.
Towards Emily?
Yeah, look at that. You're doing it.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay. White, black, white. Skip over 3.
Not white, black, white. What is it?
Sorry, you got red, gold, red.
Red, gold, red.
I'm going to count over 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hear that black guy? Pick him up. Pull my needle through. Okay. Yes.
I think we just need to turn the lens just a little bit more towards you, because you're really falling off the edge there. Just a little bit more towards you. Just, yeah. Not,
I know.
Yeah, that'll work.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Or more?
That's good.
Okay.
Because you keep sliding this
Sorry,
way.
well, I'm reaching in.
I know.
White. Thanks, guys, for being patient with us while we get this new camera moved
Are
down.
you sure this is right? Now it looks like I'm not matched up right now. Is it supposed to be like that? No.
Let's see. Bead doctor to the rescue. You picked up beads in the wrong order on the first go.
Oh, but it matched up nicely.
It did, but it'll match up better. See how you have 3 beads here and they're red, red, gold?
Mm-hmm.
It should be red, gold, red.
Thank you.
Okay. So I picked up 3 beads on my needle, and I'm going to count over, hold on, I'm going to count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to grab that last black bead and come out. So one of the beauties of seed beading is that a lot of the time, if you can get that first couple rows kind of under your belt, then you will have, the world will be your oyster. So I'm coming out here, my last black bead, and now I need to pick up my beads for my picot. So that was 4 white beads and a black bead. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 black bead. I'm going to slide it all down. Here's my little stack. Oh, that white bead has a little bubble in it. That's okay. I'm going to pass through 3. Skipping that black eye on the end, and pull my thread through. Okay. So now the 2 ends are symmetrical. Okay. And I'm ready to continue on. I'm going to do the exact same pass back and forth, and keep working. So I'm going to flip it over, okay, and pick up a white, black, white, and I'm going to count 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how it's a black bead? I know my passing through bead is always going to be that same color. Okay, pass that through, and pull it up, and now my netting begins again. Okay, white, black, white, count 4 beads. So I'm going to count all the beads that are in between my thread and that next bead I need to pass through. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put my needle through that bead. Okay. Pick up another group of 3. 1, 2. Gracie, what's going on over there?
Nothing.
Nothing happening. Something unhappy.
No, I think it was right the first time, because now it looks totally funky and I don't know what happened.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look. All right. And I'm going to do my last picot on this end. 4 white, 1 black. Slide it all down. Skip the end bead, pass through 3, and I'm ready to go again. How we doing? Great. How we doing, Brandon? Any questions? Everybody's just having a lot of fun watching.
Yes, and including Cindy's parrots.
Oh,
Parrot.
Hi. Right? So here's my picot, and I'm ready to pass the other direction now and continue on. What happens as you go down the rows is you'll begin to see the bead that you're going to pass through poking out. And that's, if your tension is firm, you should be able to see that pretty clearly. Okay? You can see that it's the black bead here in this row. And I'm going to repeat this until I have 14 and 15 picots. So I'll have 15 picots on this top edge, 14 picots on this lower edge. And I know it's my lower edge because there's my stopper bead in the lower left-hand corner. Okay?
And Debbie wants to know if the accent color is always your go-through bead.
Yes. Except on the picots, where I'm skipping that accent color, because it's the one on the end.
But you wouldn't be going through the other color.
I'd be going through only these 3 here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little different on the picots. The picots are the turnaround. Okay? So Grace, let's see what your piece looks like, and we'll see if we can doctor it up. I suspect, and it looks like, let me grab my awl. I'm going to count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Something's rotten there. Or you're missing a bead.
I counted like 3 times.
Oh, okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And... oh, I see. So, when you're stitching with peyote or when you're stitching with brick stitch, sometimes to a certain extent, when you're starting out, sometimes when the first row that you're adding, it flips and flops around. It's easier if you try and keep it on the same side.
Okay.
Actually, you needed to go 1 more bead.
Got it.
You were fine.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Can I have your needle? And I'll back you out.
Dr. Emily.
Sure, the doctor is in. So typically when I back something out, especially with size 11 seed beads, they're so small, if you go through that bead with your point first, you will split your thread. So I'm going through eye of the needle first, and sometimes if you just scoot everything up a little bit so it's all tight together, You wanted to skip 1, 2, 3, 4. Go through, skip 3 and go through 4. This should do it.
And once again, the stopper is part of the pattern.
It is indeed. Oh.
See?
So
What's going on here, Gracie?
I think that was...
No, that's right. I thought I had a fix for it too. Carry on.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
I'll just have a fun...
You'll have one bead out of
bead.
place. All right?
Okay. So wait, so I'm doing 3 and then skipping...
Here, let me fix one more thing for you. Did you come through 3 there? Oh, I thought I had it. I got a better fix for you.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm going to move it out of the way for a second. Dr. Emily thought she had the right diagnosis.
Uh-oh. What happened?
I don't know. That's the best part about being a doctor, is you don't really always know what it is, right?
I can do that, Emily.
Yeah, I know. I got it set up for you. Here we go. Take those guys off. Oh, I made a mess, Grace. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I have to start over.
All right.
Thank you.
Grace has got problems.
I like to resist this guy.
So what I did want to show you too on a diagram that makes it sort of easier to see. This is the diagram that we're going to give you with the episode notes. And here's the grouping of beads. This is the same thing I did. This is my stopper bead, and then here's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 beads. Okay, my 5 beads for my picot. My needle comes through all those 5 beads, comes out, skips the last one and goes back in, picks up 3, skips over 3, goes to that next accent color, picks up 3, next accent color, picks up 3, next accent color, and comes out through that accent color. My stopper bead just hanging out down here. And then I add another picot. Okay? So that next picot, what it does for me is it turns me around so that I can go back the other way. So I've added 5 beads. 5, back in, and back around. So it'll allow me to pick... Oh, am I missing a bead? No. Here's my picot coming right around, skipping through over the 4 beads, going through the accent, picking up 3, going through the accent, pick up 3, going through the accent, and leading me back into my next picot. So you're working up and down across this pattern, not working zigzagging, we're just going up and down. Okay? When we get to the point where we're done with our group of nettings, what we'll end up with is a strip of netting like this. Now, this netting could actually be a bracelet. Pretty, huh? I might want to change the accent beads that I'd put on the very end, and I could actually add a larger bead there, or a smaller bead, or a different shape bead, if I wanted. But this little bit of netting is going to circle around and turn into a tube. And the way that that works is I want to attach using my main color beads, and I'm going to attach by sewing right across that seam. And to do that, I have to have this all completed. I can't actually do it without it finished. But I don't need to put my bead in yet. The bead will come in later when this is sewn into a tube. So when I show you an illustration for this, when we started, my stopper bead was over here in the lower left-hand corner. But to make it a circle, I have to flip it over. Does that make sense? Just want to make sure that you kind of understand that this is a seam that I'm going to sew up. All right? And to count the picots, it's very simple. Count the row on the top edge, and then the lower edge. There should be one different. So if you had picked out your beads and you were just beginning to make your piece, you might want to actually double check that your beads will fit around the bead nicely. Okay, so my netting actually touches both holes at both ends pretty tightly. Okay, so I know it's going to fit around my bead after the fact. All right, let me get some other beads out here, and I'm going to sew this up, and I'm going to use beads that are a different color, so you'll see where that attachment is. In the illustration, I used a lighter green bead, and we can actually do that on paper as well, so you can see kind of how that's working. I'm still using the thread that I started beading with. If your thread feels a little wimpy or a little floppy, grab your beeswax and give it a little beeswax. And we'll put that needle right back on here. Size 12 beading needle works just fine. If you have trouble threading a 12, try a 10. We're really only going through these beads a couple times, so a 10 should work fine. It may be a little bit tight when we're finishing the sewing up step, but other than that it should work okay. I like a 12 because I like how flexible it is, and generally I have no trouble threading it, although I'm having a little moment right this second. Isn't that always the way when you're on camera? There we go. Okay. So for this portion of it, I usually just hold it around my finger just like that, and I'm going to sew from my picot to the beginning edge, and each time I'm going to pick up one bead and pass through a bead. And if you think about it, really what I'm doing here is completing the 3 bead that the net is made of. Each little net that we made had 3 beads in it. So I'm picking up and passing back and forth across the opening. This is not so different from what I did with bead crochet. Right. And stitching from side to side. How we doing out there, Brandwin?
We're doing pretty good.
Good. Excellent. Okay. And if I can't see that one, I can lift up that net a little bit and it'll allow that middle bead to pop out.
Did you skip the black bead?
I'm actually no longer using the black bead right now. I am using just the center bead in each net, going back and forth across the opening. And when I get this stitched, before I tighten it up, I'll show you where the threads go. Okay. All right. So I have just one picot to make at this point. And if you look carefully, I think you can see that that row of turquoise beads that goes down the middle is got a thread that moves back and forth across that opening. It's just like a seam bringing together a piece of netting. Okay. My last step is going to be to make my final picot. And this is where the stopper bead kind of gets back into play. I'm going to pick up 5 beads for my final picot. Okay. I'm going to pull the beads down like we did before. Skip the last one. Go through 4. And at the same time, doing those guys, I'm going to go right over here and grab that stopper bead. So I'm going to bring my needle through the stopper bead and up into my netting. So when I say that I'm going through into my work, what I really mean is I'm using the beads themselves to provide me with a hole or a place to attach. Okay?
Are the blue beads that you're using more for the sample? If
Yes.
you were doing it in live, you would be using
Normally
black.
I would use the black. Yep. The blue ones are just there for visibility's sake. Okay, and you can see my little stopper bead thread. It really will almost disappear. And I could have used a darker thread, but this gives me a little bit more visual for you all. To tie off this little thread, I'm going to take that small stitch between the beads to catch the thread in between the beads. Okay. Pull it up till I have a small loop. Stick my needle through the loop. And I'll pull up a knot in between the beads. All right. I'm going to move over a few beads. So pass through a few beads. Still working on a little bit on the diagonal here. Go through those guys. My thread's getting very limp and wimpy. Okay. Behave. There we go. And I'll tie one more knot. Pull it through. Let's try that again. Slip my needle right underneath the thread that's in between the beads. Pull up a small loop of thread. Go right through. And tighten that up. I'm going to continue to work my way through the beads, and I'm going to head back to the tip of the picot. Okay. And that's where I'm going to stop that thread for just a moment. I need a bead. My wood bead. It's time to see how it fits. So ideally we would like our wooden bead to fit snugly in the net, but not to be something too firm. If it's hard to push in, it's a little bit tight. Okay? Orient him around so the holes are at the top and bottom. And at this stage I think I will put a little extra beeswax on my needle and thread, because it really was getting kind of wimpy. Gracie, you want to pass me the beeswax over for just a moment? Thanks. This happens to everybody when the thread gets a little tired from working with it a bunch, but I don't need to change at this point. Okay. And I'm going to stitch around going through every hole in every bead around the picot. And usually I can get 3 or 4 maybe at a time. Draw it up. Okay. Just moving myself right around the circle. And that's going to allow me to draw my picots together right around the whole of the bead. Neat. Look how pretty that bright blue is with the black and white. All right. And I like to go around that circle a couple times. It allows me to really cinch that ends in and make it nice and tidy. Okay. How's that look? Good? I'm going to go through just a couple more, and then I'm going to head down one of the arms of the picot back into the beadwork so that I can tie that off.
Cindy wants to know how many netting sets per bead size?
I have the pattern, and I will put it in front of the camera in just one moment, Cindy. Give me a minute. I'm going to just finish this bead off, and then I'll catch up with you. And I have these worked out for size 11 Japanese beads. Remember, if your beads are a little larger or a little smaller, using black and white beads has really kind of been a pain because the black beads are a little bit small, the white beads have been a little bit big. It's kind of a mess. All right. Oops. And just going to stick my thread through there. And now I can trim off this thread. So leaving yourself a fairly long tail for your stopper bead end in your beginning would allow you to actually have that thread to cinch that last grouping around. And I think I'll go ahead and do that so that you can see how that works and the bead will be complete. Every time you change bead colors, you may have a little bit of adjustment that you'll have to do. And that's okay. That's kind of the way of the world. Bead colors tend to vary a little bit in size and sometimes in shape, and that'll make a bit of a difference too. Especially if you were going to use check glass. We just got a bunch of new check colors in that are so pretty that we use for the bead crochet, and some of those would be really great for this. Sorry, just get my needle threaded here.
Can you use size 8? I mean, you are, so.
You can. It's going to be very big around this style of bead. And the numbers you're going to have to play with a little bit to get them to work. These are size 11 that I really recommend for this pattern. But you could use size 8, especially on the bigger bead. And it would make a very fluffy bead. So I'm going to bring my stopper bead thread. So this is the very beginning of the thread that I started with, and I'm even going around in a different direction, and that's okay.
Move it in just better.
Yeah, sure. All right, and right around. So I like knitting. I like how flexible it is. It's definitely something that is a little bit of less obvious looking than peyote stitch. Peyote kind of, you pick up the pattern, and the follow through is pretty. The little mantra that goes with peyote stitch is very easy to follow. But I think knitting is well worth playing around with. And you know, if I was going to do this over beaded ornaments, I would definitely use a size 8. So it would go a lot faster that way. All right, here we go. I'm going to go around one more time and then tie this thread off, and we'll be done. And I can't wait to see what everybody picks out for colors for these. We should have done this as a group project.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs Christmas ornaments or ornaments around. Okay.
Could you do this around small Christmas bulbs?
Yes, you could. You'd have to be a little bit gentle about how you cinch in, but in fact, a lot of the Christmas ornaments that I've seen are actually just the top part of the net without the bottom. And then they just drape down over the bulb. Mm. You take the little fastener off at the top, and then you can just drape it right over the bulb. Okay. Pass through one more time. Up. I unthreaded my needle. With KO threads, since they're a filament style thread, you can actually get part of them in the eye, and then the rest will usually follow. So even if you just get part of the needle threaded with the thread, pull the rest through, and it should follow right along. Okay. And I'm just going to hide my tail of thread here, and I want to show you one last little trick. When you trim off your thread, always trim it under a little bit of tension, okay? And that helps that thread kind of disappear into the beads.
We have an internet, okay, stream resumed. I was just, okay. You might want to repeat that.
Okay. I tend to cut my thread off under a little bit of tension so that the little end of the thread kind of pops back in. So I'd have one final step for these beaded beads that every one of them gets. They get a little massage. I roll them around in my hand, and this tends to kind of even everything out. If there's any weirdos that are sort of poking out or a little bit uneven, tends to even them out. One thing it can do, though, is make you lose your hole. So I'm just going to grab my awl and straighten out my hole right in my beadwork. Okay? All right. There's a beaded bead. How are you doing over there, Gracie? You're coming along.
Not well.
Uh-oh.
I think I'm playing with pattern, and that's
You're doing
basically
fine.
I'm playing with pattern.
So speaking of playing with pattern, with this particular stitch, you can actually bring in a lot more other different colors and play around with how you want to make your beads look. So there's lots of alternatives and playing things that I would do on this. This particular bead has a very interesting story to tell. And it's kind of one of those stories that not all teachers are always so comfortable about sharing their mistakes with you. I'm pretty comfortable, I have to say. I don't mind. When I show you the ends of this bead, you'll notice that the ring of beads that goes around the hole is pretty big. And in fact, it's actually different on either end. So this was a very early netted bead that I was making, and I was really working out how wide my strip of netting needed to be. And it wasn't quite wide enough. So typically the netting should fit from the last picot bead right at one hole down to the other. And if that's not happening, you may have to increase the length of your picots, okay? Or add a whole nother net inside. But for this one, I could have just increased my picot ends, and that would have been fine. But I didn't want to waste this piece of beadwork. I was going to carry on. So what I did was I added a bead in between each of the picots as I went around. So there's twice as many beads on this as there are picots. And that gave me enough of a circle to close that gap in. Okay? And on this end, I think I added a bead every maybe third or fourth. So it's not perfectly even, and it's not perfect by any means. But really, when someone looked at that, they would never know that that wasn't 100% perfect, right?
It's planned that way.
It's planned that way, says Brandwin. Perfect. Now, I like to make these beads also not only into necklaces, but into pendants and as a charm. And one of the things I like to do is add bead caps and a head pin to that. So I wanted to show you how to do that because it's really fun. And I hope that this next year we're going to do a lot more wire working because it's one of my other passions. Janice was nice enough to provide me with some bead caps and really long head pins. So for these bigger beads, having a 3-inch long head pin really makes a difference. Most head pins are just not big enough or long enough to make this work as well as I'd like. So I'm going to grab this bead. Okay? And this head pin would slip right through the hole of the wooden bead because it's too big. So a bead cap is a really great way to keep that head pin in the bead, and it gives you a little bit more interest also on either end of the bead. Okay? Like that. And if you're doing these as ornaments, ornaments always have a little dangle at the top, right? A little fix. So I'm going to make this into a wrapped loop, and I'll make the loop big enough to either slide on a chain, or I could use a jump ring to put it on a chain as well. Okay? And Kate and I have some similarities in the way we like to do things, but we also do things a little bit differently. And I think it's been a while since I've had a chance to show you how I wire wrap without Kate around. So I'm going to take this moment just without Kate hanging over my shoulder to do this. My very first wire working instructor, though, you know who that was? Way back when? Kate Richburg. Was the first beading class I ever took. And we were trying to figure out when this was. I think it was sort of 95-ish, 95, 96-ish. I think about that far back. Might have even been 94. Oof, that goes back a few years. So I've got this head pin coming through my bead, and I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to grab a hold of that head pin right as it comes out of the bead. Now the further you grasp in the plier, it means the larger number of wraps that you're going to make at the base of this loop that I'm preparing. So I'm not going to go very far down, but I'm also not right at the very tippy tip end. Okay? I'm going to bend the wire over the plier jaw, and I find that this really gives me a nice crisp corner to have my loop sit on. Okay. I'm going to bring my round nose pliers in, and I'm going to grip with my round nose pliers on the top and bottom of that short wire. So this is what it would look like if it was pointing at you. Okay. I'm going to hold on to that wire, lift it up and over the upper plier jaw and around, and it kind of hits the bead here in the back, and that's okay. I'm going to loosen my grip on the pliers and just move the jaws around so that I can bring that wire back around to point at me. Okay, and this looks a little bit like a man with a scarf blowing in the wind, right? Riding down the road in a convertible, blowing in the wind. And that would be the time that I could put something else into here. You know, you could put a big jump ring. You could put, you could even put a little lobster claw clasp and hook this on a keychain real quick. Cute. Kind of a cute little bauble. I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers again, and I'm going to just grip across that loop. So I don't leave my round nose pliers in the loop. I also don't use my pliers to hold my wire. I use my fingers. One of the things I like about this is that I only have to grip very lightly with my fingertips, and it means I probably am not gripping hard enough with my plier to put a dent in my wire. I want to be fairly gentle right there. So I'm going to get around several times till this gap here is used up. Get my flush cutter in there and cut that away. And I'll use my chain nose plier again to just tuck that tiny little wrap in so it's out of the road and nice and tidy. So that makes a nice little charm.
Very nice.
Right? You could slide that on a little bit of leather cord, right? You're
Yeah.
good to go. A little bit of ribbon, strand of beads.
You can wrap the present if you think about it with the ribbon, and then have it on.
Oh, and put that on
yeah.
there. It would be a really nice little gift.
Yeah, like instead of putting an ornament, putting this.
Right, right. It kind of looks a little pine coney now to me.
Yeah, it does.
Does it have that feel to you?
Says the recent birthday girl.
Oh no!
Wow,
There you go.
Thank you. So
I'm either very good or very bad about birthdays. You'll learn that I'm either one or the other. So, I also want to just roll through my handy help tips and troubleshooting for your netted bead making process. The recipes for the netting over the wood beads are here, and it's exactly what we did today was this 20 millimeter bead. Here's our oval, here's the 25 millimeter. I threw this little 13 millimeter wood bead in. I don't know where I got these little small beads, and I only have about 10 of them. So if you happen to find a small wood bead, measure it from hole to hole. I have a little bit of info about color picking, a little bit of troubleshooting about the size of your net that you're making. So somebody asked about number of nets that you make. On this particular one, we're working and our nets are going to be horizontal instead of vertical. So I don't count the nets, I just count the beads. Okay? And when you're first getting started and you make your first row of beads with the first 2 pecos, you've gone the base row, you've gone up to the picot, turned around and come down, you've got 2 pecos in your rows in the middle. Go ahead and see if you want to fit that around the bead, and the pecos should just about touch hole to hole at either end. If that doesn't happen, you might need to lengthen something. You're going to have to lengthen your picot or shorten it even if there's too much space. So either one of those, okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
Totally.
Good. Grace, how's your dyed bead doing over there?
I just was seeing how it looked with the.
Oh yeah, and is it dry now?
It is.
Yeah. Dry as a bone. And doesn't feel scratchy.
No,
feels
not
smooth.
at all. This is really fun.
Yeah.
And easy.
It is really. Well, maybe we'll have to do a couple more today with some other colors.
Can I show you what I did?
Yeah, let's see what you got.
Okay,
Come on,
I went
what you
way
doing?
too expert and more advanced than I actually am.
Oh, you got.
I tried to do opposite ends.
Your eyes are bigger than your tummy. That's the way I feel about it. A lot.
I did okay. I was following your guide. And I think I did okay.
You did okay. Absolutely. You got to play around with it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's almost never the first one, never the last one. That's
true.
for sure.
True.
And Randy suggested stringing seed beads on the head pin before putting it into the wooden bead, maybe 6s or 8s, so the head pin wouldn't wobble.
I do that as well, Randy. And you know, if your bead goes, your head pin goes into your wooden bead, and if this is a great deal of space inside, what you might want to do is put some size 11 or size 8 seed beads. I usually use black just because it kind of hides in the hole, but that will help stabilize that head pin in the middle of the bead and won't wobble around quite so much. The long oval beads don't have very much room in there. I don't even think we could do, well, I might be able to get an 11 in there, but a little bit of wobble is okay, especially if you, once you got the head pins on,
well,
head pin on.
Caps,
yeah,
caps.
It's all nice and solid and not going anywhere. Yeah.
Not really.
No. Very pretty.
Very, very pretty. Good
Very
job.
comes right along.
Before we go
oh yeah,
back
we
up,
have a couple.
Just want to.
Oh, let's see Grace's bracelet.
On that bracelet. People were really
but
excited
I want to
about
see a close-up on Emily's necklace.
Well, we got necklace requests too, but I can't really get you guys to go through that. So we'll figure that out when we go up. So
sure.
there's your bracelet for some people wanted to.
Very pretty. Oh, it's really a charming one. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot too. I'm very fortunate. Good gift givers.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're ready to pass you back over? Go for it. You can shove that under the...
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's what we did last time.
Oh. Okay, let's go back up.
We're getting this smoother and smoother every time, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. I really like the over-the-shoulder stuff. I think that the view is better. How did we do today, quality-wise? Was it a little bit better?
It's still, yeah,
It's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought we had some good points today for sure. So we do have a couple of things. We're just about 12 o'clock, which is perfect timing. If you happen to come on to beadshop.com, where to go, and place your order in the next 1 hour.
Behind these.
Is it? No, I know that part. I was looking for the little thank you gift.
Oh, here.
Oh,
We definitely have some love for the necklaces too. So.
oh, good. Okay, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
And
Knotted pearls.
majors?
Yeah. Oh. If you come on to beadshop.com in the next hour, it's just about 12 o'clock, so between now and 1, place your order, and if you would say in that order, I heart knitted beads, you will get some 3-inch long head pins and bead caps that we don't currently sell. So this is a special deal just for Facebook watchers, okay?
Awesome.
Bead caps, I've got a couple different styles. One that looks sort of like a little spider web, so a little netted, and one that is a flower. It's going to be random. You'll get a pair that match, and some extra long head pins. So if you want to use these for your netted beads, they'll work really well. Don't also restrict yourself to the bead caps. Grace, you pulled some beautiful beads of my childhood.
From childhood.
From
yes.
childhood beads that would look really nice with that. You know, or hanging from a dangle.
Right.
Right? An elastic bracelet with that on there would be
right.
bitchin'. Right? So, there's your code to put in your notes, please. And we have a special store-wide sale going on for you folks and the folks that looked in their newsletter today. 15% off everything, which is really nice and lovely to have at this time of year. It's just about that time where we need to have gifts to hand out to everybody.
And here's some
something
that
to
you
do.
can make with everyone.
Yeah.
Really fun, really fun.
Yeah. So put this in your coupon code. This one goes in the shipping notes. Any other questions, Brandon? How are we doing?
Just a lot of love for your personal jewelry is what I'm hearing right now.
Okay.
So,
and I'm just going to check my list to make sure I got everything I wanted to. I think I did. I covered all my notes. Without Kate, I don't know. Where would we be without Kate? We'd be here without Kate, and we miss you, Kate. I know you're watching.
Really well today, Emily.
Thank
I have
you.
to say, you led this lesson
right along
very smoothly.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good. We miss you, Kate. Get well soon. Bye, guys. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next week for another exciting episode of beadshop.com live on Facebook.
Totally.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.